Welcome to the Unbiased Journalism. In order not to miss the videos prepared by our team, including the latest developments and special reports on the war in Israel, you can subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and click the super thanks button below. Gaza City is home to many terror facilities, including ammunition depots in densely populated areas. In order to conceal these terrorist structures, Hamas is pursuing a nefarious strategy of putting forward people both north and south of the Strip. The IDF argues that Gaza City is a prime example of Hamas's use of civilians as human shields. The most important method Hamas uses for this is the network of tunnels in the so-called Gaza Metro. Terrorist activities and inhumane plans to use civilians as human shields against IDF forces are carried out by Hamas's so-called commanders in the tunnel network known as the Gaza Strip. But the IDF has already discovered more than 800 tunnel lines in the Gaza Strip and destroyed 500 of them. The underground layers of Hamas's terrorist commanders have therefore become much smaller. This shrinkage is becoming increasingly uncomfortable for the terrorists. The whole balance has shifted, especially since the IDF forces captured northern Gaza and wrested control from the Hamas terrorist organization. Israel led a ground offensive in the southern lines of the Strip. All exit routes for Hamas were closed. However, the commanders and leaders of the terrorist organization in northern Gaza had already fled to the south of the Strip some time ago. Now, with Israeli troops entering southern Gaza, including Khan Yunis, and breaking the terrorist defense line there, the concerns of Hamas leaders underground have increased. At this point, it became clear that the only way out for the terrorist organization's leaders and commanders was through the Rafah border crossing, through which humanitarian aid is delivered to the residents of Gaza and the areas in the settlement. The news that the terrorist leaders within the group fled Gaza through the Rafah settlement dropped like a bomb on the agenda. It was learned that the upper echelon of the Hamas terrorist organization has already started preparations to flee the Gaza Strip. This is evidenced by the terrorist organization's decision to open public spaces in Rafah to refugees from all over the region. Since the beginning of the armed conflict in the Gaza Strip, Hamas has never opened its public spaces for refugees. According to experts, such a decision would indicate that the group's top leadership, including Yahya Senior, is considering fleeing to Egypt. In other words, the terrorists want to blend in with the refugees so that Israeli soldiers will not stop them. On the other hand, it is adjacent to the Philadelphia corridor on the Egyptian border, which could facilitate the escape of the terrorist organization's leaders. There are also terrorist tunnels in this area. Previously, weapons were smuggled through these tunnels. It is now believed that these secret tunnels will be used as escape ramps for Hamas leaders, including Yahya Sinwar, who fears successful offensive operations by IDF forces. Information about the possible escape of Hamas leaders emerged against the background of the successes of the IDF's offensive operation in the Gaza Strip. Israeli army units began advancing southward, dealing a serious blow to the group. As a result, the terrorist leaders are now cowardly calculating to leave the clash site to save their lives. However, the IDF is proving that it will do everything possible to prevent Sinwar, the main organizer of the October 7th massacre in Israel, from escaping. A group of terror commanders trying to escape from Rafah was allegedly uncovered and identified. Jinit officials, following their most recent meeting in Egypt, have reportedly set up a structure near Rafah, where some of the Hamas terror commanders were caught trying to escape through the tunnels near the settlement and were quickly detained. This dramatic situation is likely to increase the atmosphere of anxiety within Hamas. While the escape plans in southern Gaza and Hamas's failures in this regard have dominated the agenda, it has emerged that some terror leaders still remain in the northern lines of the Strip. IDF intelligence told the press that it had obtained photos and videos of terror leaders in northern Gaza. The IDF press service revealed the killed commanders of the Northern Gaza Brigade, the second largest military formation, and the Gaza Brigade, the largest terrorist unit. The IDF website published photographs of a meeting of the terrorist organization's ringleaders in a tunnel under the Indonesia hospital and footage of the deputy commander of the Northern Gaza Brigade walking through the tunnel. These photos once again prove the desperate situation of the Hamas terrorist organization and the inability of its leaders to even get their heads out of the underground tunnels. Hamas leaders and commanders who try to come out of the tunnels, as you can imagine, end up in the same situation. In this regard, the IDF issued a very critical statement. The Israeli army is crushing Hamas battalions in the Strip and regularly killing their commanders. Most recently, it was announced that 4 Hamas terror commanders had been killed in airstrikes on tips from Shabbat and Amman. These included Hanhouari, commander of the Shadi battalion, Yel Rajib, deputy commander of the Northern Gaza Terror Brigade, Amda Noor, a member of the so-called cabinet, and others. The IDF reported that all the main positions of the Shadi battalion were captured, Sabra battalion command posts, infrastructure, and a large number of Sabra battalion commanders were destroyed. Since the beginning of the war, the IDF has allegedly destroyed more than 50 so-called leaders of the Hamas terrorist organization. It is also reported that the IDF has so far neutralized sympathizers supporting terrorist activities. Most recently, IDF forces neutralized a large number of Hamas supporters in a critical area between northern Gaza and the Israeli border. The IDF announced that it had thwarted an attempt by Hamas reservists from the Al-Quds Brigade to attack their camp in the Gaza Strip. Forces of the 927th Battalion of the Al-Quds Brigade reportedly received intelligence alerts about a planned Hamas terrorist activity at midnight on the night of the attack. After receiving this critical intelligence data, the units cleared their camps and prepared for the expected Hamas attack. The Al-Quds Brigade then waited for Hamas terror members to enter the camp. When the terror members entered the area where the Israeli Al-Quds Brigade was staying, a violent clash allegedly took place. Despite the fact that those in the brigade were reservists, Hamas suffered heavy casualties in these clashes. After the Al-Quds Brigade foiled Hamas's treacherous attack plan, the IDF Air Force discovered Hamas tunnels near the camp. If the attack on the Al-Quds Brigade had been successful, it is likely that the Hamas terror members in the tunnels would have attacked the camp in support of this treacherous activity. However, the IDF Air Force destroyed these Hamas tunnel lines close to the Gaza Strip with a heavy bombing attack. During the IDF fighter jet strikes, an explosive device detonated in the Hamas tunnel shaft, causing numerous secondary explosions. The IDF then destroyed the tunnel entrance used to carry out the attempted attack and other tunnel infrastructure in the area. Hamas's failure has crippled the morale and motivation of its terrorist members in the Gaza Strip. In recent days, the Hamas terrorist organization has been conducting continuous ineffective terrorist activities under pressure from IDF forces, setting the stage for its collapse in Gaza. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant also shared critical assessments about the latest situation of Hamas in Gaza. Yoav Gallant stated that Hamas is on the verge of disintegration and that the IDF has captured the last strongholds of the terrorist organization. On the other hand, the Hamas terrorist organization is under intense pressure not only in Gaza but also in the West Bank. In the latest Israeli drone strike on the West Bank city of Jenin, 4 terror members were killed. Israel announced that the 4 killed belonged to a terrorist militant group called the Al-Aqsa Martyr Brigades. In short, the Hamas terrorist organization has recently reached the end of the road in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. The IDF's efforts and pressure since the beginning of the war have brought Hamas to this state. If we see the terrorist organization waving the white flag in the coming days, we will have to take this with a grain of salt because the Israeli army has blocked all exit routes for Hamas. The best way out for the terrorist organization now seems to be to surrender to the IDF forces. Tomorrow may be too late. Thank you for watching us. In order not to miss the videos prepared by our team, including the latest developments and special reports on the war in Israel, you can subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and click the super thanks button below. See you in our next works.